Guys, so hopefully you've answered 2 and 3, and let's see if you got them right. So first, number 2, we're looking, here it gives us 122 degrees here, and it's wanting us to find the measure of x. The first thing I noticed, guys, again, where the angles are. These are inside or in between the parallel lines. So that means that they are some sort of interior angles. The next thing I want to ask myself is, are they on the same side of the transversal or on opposite sides of the transversal? In this case, our transversal, again, is the line that cuts through. And if I notice, they're both on the left side here. So that makes them same side interior angles. Now again, we need to remember that same side interior angles means that if I add these two together, okay, I'm going to get 180 degrees. So I need to add these, so 122 degrees plus x, and if again I can write an equation for this, guys, is 180 degrees. Or you could have just simply took 180 degrees and subtracted 122, okay, to get this. And again, just please be careful when you are subtracting, but again, you can use the calculator. So 10 minus 8 is, 10 minus 2 is 8, and 7 minus 2 is 5. So you should have gotten 58 degrees for x. And if you did, great job, awesome. All right, number 3. So again, let's pay attention to where the angles are located. First things first, so I'm going to circle, this is 115 degrees, and it wants me to find y. All right. First things first, I notice that they are on opposite sides of the transversal. Okay, so that means that they're going to be some sort of alternate. Okay, again, because remember, alternate is the same thing as opposite. I also notice that, actually, you know what, guys? That's not correct either. Okay, so first things first. We need to know that, now this is going to require us actually to do a little bit more of a deep dive into this question. So it wants us to figure out why, but this is none of the pairs. It's not alternate interior, it's not alternate exterior, it's not corresponding, it's not same side, interior or exterior, and it's not vertical or supplementary. So what do we have to do? We kind of have to do a little bit of work here. We have to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually identify the corresponding angle. So the corresponding angle here would be this one here. So this is 115 as well. Now I'm going to use this 115, and again, this is a straight line, so I'm going to use this 115 and say that this is supplementary. 115 and y are supplementary angles because they're formed on this straight line here. And from here to here is 180 degrees. So I did use the relationship of corresponding angles to identify this 115, and now I'm going to use my knowledge of supplementary angles to figure out what y is. So I'm going to subtract this here. 10. Again, be careful to borrow correctly if you're not using a calculator. 10 minus 5 is 5, and 7 minus 1 is 6. So again, this one should have been 65 degrees. But again, that actually, I actually had to apply my knowledge of angle pair relationships 2 times here to figure out our y variable. All right. So let's look at our next one. So our next one is, again, how can we use angle pair relationships to help us solve related mathematical problems? So in this case, it wants us to solve for the variable. But instead of us giving the actual angle measures, it gives us expressions. And again, we worked on this last week. So I put the steps here for you to follow, okay, right here. So step 1, identify the relationship between the angles. Step 2, use the knowledge of the relationship to write an equation. So let's focus on step 1 first. So our angles are here and here. Now, they're on the same side of the transversal, okay, but one is on the exterior and one is on the interior. So these are corresponding angles. And what we know about corresponding angles is that they are equal. So all we need to do is set these two expressions equal to one another. So 15x minus 2 is equal to 11x plus 34. Okay, so check step 1 and step 2. I identified the relationship, I wrote an equation. Step 3 says to solve for the variable. So now I actually have to apply what I remember from Unit 2 and solve for the variable. So I'm going to draw my line down the middle here. Again, when you're solving these, you're trying to get x by itself. So you're manipulating the variables and the constants in order to get to make that happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 11x from both sides. Okay, and again, this becomes 0. I'm going to bring down what's left, which is the 34. Okay, 15 minus 11 is 4x, and everything else gets dropped down as well, including the minus 2. Now I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides. Again, because my goal is to get x by itself here. And again, I get this 0 here. I'm going to bring down the 4x. 34 plus 2 is 36. Okay, now again, I have 4x equals 36. Again, I only want x by itself. And again, that coefficient, the 4 and the x are held together by multiplication. So now I'm going to divide by 4. And I get 1 here, so x equals 9. All right, so my solution for x is actually 9, but I have not answered the question. The question really is, what's the angle measures? So I've solved for the variable step 3, but now step 4 is I have to take that solution and plug it back in to find the angle measures. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each expression and plug in 9 for x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this here. So 15 times 9 minus 2. And you know what, guys? I'm going to use my calculator just to be on the safe side. So 15 times 9 minus 2 is 133. So this angle right here is 133 degrees. Now they're corresponding angles, so they should be what we said equal. So let's plug in 9 here. 11 times 9 plus 34. So again, with your calculator, 11 times 9 plus 34. And yep, I get 133 degrees. All right. So again, my angle measures are 133 degrees. All right, I'm going to leave you with the example number 2. Make sure again you're following the steps, and and then when you're done, come back to see if you got it correct.